Hi, I've had the Genesis speakers in my living room for the past 4 months or so. And my living room is a mid-sized room. It's about 16 by 24. However, it has the unusual characteristics of a half wall on one side that opens also in a doorway into my kitchen. So the sound is able to be expanded and reflect everywhere into the house. And I'm able to hear the stereo quite clearly in my living room, dining room, and kitchen, as well as even into my bedrooms. The characteristic of these speakers is, I'd have to say, is unflappable. They seem to perform any genre, and I listen to a wide variety of music. As a librarian for the Philadelphia Orchestra and a professional musician performing on the bassoon, I'm used to the presence and sound of live music. I hear it and perform it quite often. And that's the benchmark for me when I'm listening to music at home, is how the music sounds, how realistic and how dynamic it represents its image and its sound, its feel, the vibe. Is it musically engaging, emotionally attractive? And these speakers reveal everything that's in the recording chain, as well as in your equipment that's in front of it. They work equally well with tube or solid state. They're very adaptable to whatever you happen to have in your system. You don't have to be feeling that, no, now that I have such an extraordinary and wide dynamic speaker, I have to jump on the upgrade path and start to fix everything else in my system that you've enjoyed already own. I found as I used the speakers with a variety of amplifiers, the sound changed. I could hear the differences of the amplifiers. And what was nice was I was able to adjust the settings in a very subtle way to balance the sound and make sure that the overall frequency response was good. The tubes needed a certain level and the solid states needed a different level. But I'm not talking about a dramatic change. The settings only shifted slightly between 4 and 5, while the dynamic overall can be set from 1 to 12. So these are very, very small incremental adjustments done by ear simply to balance the sound. The amplifiers used during the review period included the Modrite KWI 200, the Carver 180 Cherries, and the Burmester 911 Model 3. Sonically, I would describe these speakers in the following way. They are unflappable. You can throw anything at them. Now, I mean that in a flattering way, whether you're listening to a solo piano, a full symphonic orchestra, electronic music, rock, jazz, small ensemble jazz. These speakers deliver it all. They simply are neutral in their delivery. They don't really characterize and favor one genre over the other. They actually play a piano in a very realistic way. This could be because the designer's sister is a concert pianist. However, they have the dynamic range and impact to really fulfill the sound of live music, and they have a level of speed, resolution, everything that you really would like to sit back and hear at the end of a long day. Or many times I wake up in the morning and put on something quiet and meditative to start my day. What I really like about these speakers is the coherency. Even though they have a lot of drivers to cover their frequency response and the dynamic range, it's all very well integrated and coherent. I can look and try to figure out, gee, what's the tweeter doing, or what's that mid-range doing? But I can't figure it out. Perhaps it's because of the range of speakers that face the rear as well as the front, and the sound just spins around the room. What I've noticed now that I've put the Burmester amplifier and CD player into the system is an extraordinary level of resolution and a quality of sound that's very relaxed and smooth and floating. It's this feeling and the sense of the music is just in your room. It's present, very much like live music. Although there's a clear sound stage and an image that you are experiencing and visualizing, the sense is just the music's out there. And what I like is the idea that comes from Burmester's design philosophy, which is that when you listen to music, you want to be able to forget that you're listening to something that's being recreated electronically. And I think that was the gift and the feature that the Burmester brought into the system. I suddenly no longer was listening to electronics. I was able to just appreciate the sound for what it was. These Genesis speakers will be giant killers in your room. Even though they're small, rather diminutive in size and stature, they will flood your room with a dynamic range from loud to soft. I have yet to hear any compression and distortion in the sound, regardless of how loud I turn them up. Whether I'm listening to Aboriginal music with thumping bass and didgeridoos, or a small string trio, it's all portrayed in a very nice way that's just as very realistic and relaxed and enjoyable. The downside of this speaker is it's its opposite side of its upside, which is that it's ruthlessly revealing. It's simply that it reveals so much information. It's capable of such a high degree of resolution that everything that you have in your stereo system is going to be revealed. It's going to be shown. So simple things like cables, you're going to be able to hear those characteristics, let alone your CD player, your analog source, and as well as your amplifiers. Overall, I can recommend these speakers because of what they do, which is deliver music in a very realistic way, in a very relaxed way, in a very dynamic way, in just an extraordinary way that you put them on and you forget about it. And that's the gift. That's what I want. I want to hear music, and I don't want to be thinking about what's making the stereo work. I just want to put on something that fulfills the mood or interest I'm listening to and enjoy the music. Overall, I highly recommend listening to the Genesis 5.3 and considering them for your purchase. This is Bob Grossman reporting for avshowrooms.com.